Welcome to the Virtual Strategic Solutions Virtual Reality Simulation System. Accessing Legacy Dataset. Files loaded. Simulation ready. This derelict pre-war bowling alley was once a popular attraction in Bar Harbor, Maine, regularly hosting bowling competitions with Thomas Davis, the reigning champion. Thomas was also a member of the staff who had to deal with consistent vandalism of the VIM machines on their property. Despite constant vigilance, the staff was unsuccessful at catching the culprit. However, Thomas did learn from Jan that the Bar Harbor Museum was also experiencing the same vandalism. Despite the recent vandalism, the management loved their profession, as they got to work with their friends with the game that they loved. After Thomas learned of his imminent overseas deployment, his friend Mark Wilson accidentally revealed the going-away party for him. He was flattered and helped with the party planning. After Thomas's deployment, he kept in touch with them, sending them postcards until suddenly stopping in April. His tour of duty was a short one, although harrowing and honorable. Davis's destroyer was sunk, and he went MIA during the commotion until roughly mid-June. Afterward, he was given the Navy Distinguished Service Medal for bravery and an honorable discharge. The Navy waited to contact his parents until they knew if he was going to survive his injuries. He did, but he received a spinal injury, and the doctors said he would probably never walk, let alone bowl again. Once his cousin Daisy received the news about him toward the end of June, she asked Mark to pass along the information. Throughout it all, this close-knit group of friends and family were there for one another, never wavering. When they heard of Thomas's condition, they took the news hard. One night, Mark and Matthew got to talking over shooting the balls back up the return and checking the machinery when they came up with an idea to help Thomas bowl the perfect game he was so close to. Thomas's arms still worked, so they came up with the idea of a sort of bowling gun built out of the ball return and a strong motor attached to a board. Their original idea would prove to be a colossal failure, as it only achieved sanding off the edges of the balls, so they began to discuss the idea with some of the old-timers. Jacob brought up the idea that they should just get and modify one of the new Fat Man catapults. Determined, they followed this advice and used connections to find a supplier at an old surplus center out in the Willywax and traded a couple of tanks of gasoline for it. It was an illegal act, but they figured that it would be harmless because it was only meant for bowling. During the development on October 6th, they forgot to reduce the tension springs, and the first ball they launched flew straight through the wall of the office and stoved in a table in the dining area, knocking Mr. Clark out of his chair, nearly killing him. But Matthew and Daisy were able to talk him out of suing after coming to an agreement of free games and half-priced beers for life. Meanwhile, an insurance adjuster had to be called in the next day, and he also had to be convinced. Daisy spread the word that if he asked anyone, to tell them that a ball return mechanism went haywire. The striker was effectively complete though, despite having never managed to adjust the final firing speed. In better news, they had gotten word that Thomas would be returning early in December, and it was at this time that Mark and Daisy would work on building a temporary ramp for his wheelchair until Matthew could get a permanent one installed. However, fortune continued to frown upon the Beaver Creek Lanes, as a landslide proceeded to cause huge structural damage to the building, even dropping a truck through the roof. It was not long after this that the insurance adjuster and the structural engineer concluded that the building was unsafe. However, she did not know if it could be repaired or if the whole building had to come down until the debris was cleared out. Matthew talked with the insurance company to see if there was any sort of emergency wages they could get for the employees, but the company was fighting him pretty hard. With the alleyway closed, Matthew gathered up as much as he could out of their lockers and brought them and their final paychecks to the coffee shop at noon on October 20th. He added a little extra to their checks, wishing it could be more, but it was all he had until the insurance paid out. The exterior consists of the building itself, its roof, and the former parking lot, where feral ghouls tend to crawl out from under wrecked cars or from the bus standing in the middle of the parking lot. In said bus, the sole survivor can also find an unlocked suitcase and a locked wooden crate. The roof can easily be reached by climbing the landslide on the backside of the building. A glowing one and some feral ghouls can be found here, as well as a dead trapper which has some loot. Upon entering, there is a locked door straight ahead, the reception area with a terminal to the right, and the bowling lanes in the back. To the right of the lanes is a dining area. The dining area contains a kitchen with a locked safe in the floor, restrooms, and a cooking station with a dead trapper, a duffel bag, and an ammo box right near it. Near the restrooms is a chained door. To the left of the kitchen are a locked closet that holds another ammo box and a first aid box. The locked door near the entrance, which can be bypassed by a hole in the wall on the leftmost bowling lane, leads to a tunnel, which in turn leads to the back room. After the back room, there is a room with several lockers, stairs to the next floor, and the chained door, which leads back to the dining area. Access to the second floor can be gained either through the stairs in the locker room or another set of stairs near the hole in the wall. The stairs in the locker room lead to a small office, which contains another terminal, a chemistry station, a weapons workbench, a door to the right, and a master-locked safe, which can be opened from the terminal. The door on the right leads to a set of stairs and a large storage room. Through this room, the landslide led by a truck got into the building. On the other side of the storage room are stairs leading back into the tunnel on the first floor. Simulation completed. Please exit the pod or have a technician select another file.